Hello, I'm Mr. Farley.
Hello, my name is Amanda Noor-Myrdal.
Good afternoon. My name is Sean Tobin. I am the social studies teacher in the San Leandro High School SLAM Academy.
What have you noticed about inflation over the years?
Oh, inflation. Definitely since after COVID, things have gotten a lot more expensive. So I just like gasoline. It's one of the big ones, right? So it just went from like $3 a gallon to like $5 a gallon, closer to $6 sometimes. It's terrible. So things like that, and rent is going up all the time. The prices of food, sometimes it's like, what? Even for a bag of chips, it's like $6 for chips? What? And the small bag, $3, $2.99? You know? So yeah, so prices have been going up a lot lately.
Specifically in the Bay Area, I've noticed within 10, 15 years, there's been a huge increase in rent, in cost of products, in pretty much just everything. I mean, inflation is on the rise.
So inflation, I lived through what they call the Great Inflation in the mid-60s throughout the 70s. So it was a very long and devastating period of inflation. And there didn't seem to be an easy fix to that. The Fed chair, a guy by the name of Paul Volcker, raised interest rates in 1980, to over 20%, which is as high as they've ever been as far as I know. And that basically brought the inflation under control, even though our economy suffered through a very severe recession. And since then, we haven't really experienced any serious inflation until COVID. And I think that the federal government providing all the financial assistance to lots and lots of people in the form of unemployment insurance or bailouts to businesses, it increased the money supply very significantly. And when there's more money in the economy, the value of money goes down, and what you get is inflation with prices going up. And it's difficult to stop once it starts.
How do you think we could change this problem?
Changing the problem. I don't know. I think there's a lot of sort of, I guess you would call it price gouging, especially for things like gas. You know, for example, we live right near Richmond, where they refine the gas. You know, that's where the gas is made. It's not where it's taken up out of the ground, but that's where they make it into gasoline. It's right there. It's 20 miles away. And we have more expensive gas here in the Bay than in Stockton, Lodi, Sacramento. So we get charged more than we should here. I mean, and if you drive to the middle of the country right now, it's like $2.40 a gallon. And so we get ripped off here in California for some reason. I know we have higher taxes on our gasoline, but not that high. It's like maybe 60 cents, 70 cents a gallon. It's not that high. So for some reason we get ripped off. And just, you know, the price of gasoline in general, it makes everything else more expensive, you know? It makes the potato chips more expensive. If the potatoes got to be hauled, you know, tractors got to run to do the potatoes, all that stuff, trucks, everything's more expensive because of the price of gas. So we got to find a way to make gas cheaper. That'd be nice.
I don't know how to change this problem. I think that delegating money into more than one or two or very specific areas, right? I think, I mean, having people not all move to the same place, right? So distribute wealth. Not have like a Silicon Valley and San Francisco, all these hub. I mean, I get where city life, a lot of the places and companies end up going there, but we can disperse that into various parts of this country. It's big, There's a lot of places.
Gradually, because of high interest rates, the economy slows down, and you kind of wring that inflation out of the economy. In the 80s, they did it very drastically because we'd had inflation for, again, about 15 years. What the Federal Reserve right now is trying to do is do it gradually, and you see them, a couple times a year raise the prime interest rate a quarter point. So it's starting to work, and the idea is that we're going to bring inflation under control without putting the economy into a recession, which is what they're going to try to do. But again, that can get pretty tricky too because there's a lot of variables. When you have things like, a war in Ukraine and Russia, and you have a spike in energy costs because of that, there's a lot of variables that are beyond the Federal Reserve's control, but they're doing their best to bring it under control, and it is going down. It's not going up as fast this past year. Its increase has slowed, so that's good.
How has inflation affected you personally?
Well, personally, sometimes, it's like the amount of money I earn is going up, but the amount of money I have is not going up. It's like I'm getting raises every couple of years. All teachers are, but it's still a struggle to pay all the bills, to pay the rent, and so things aren't getting easier, even though I am making more money. And I looked at how much money I make now. I'm like, and I think of, dang, if I was making this much money 5 years ago, wow, that'd be so great. Or 10 years ago, if I was making this much, I would have thought I was rich, But I know I'm not. I'm just struggling paycheck to paycheck.
It's really unrealistic to live a sustainable life, and kind of it's unfortunate because it doesn't have to be like that, right? And a lot of it does have to do with the amount of people that came into this area, right? But it's not just local, it's also broader. It's also the wars that are happening, right? It's also the shutdown of, like ships and all this, like, it's just when taxes rising, right? Everything affects each other and is a ripple.
Well, it hasn't, I have a good salary, and our school district has given teachers 2 pretty large raises in the last 3 years. So it hasn't affected me personally because my salary has gone up as fast as prices have. So I've been basically fine, but that's not the case for people who haven't been getting pretty significant raises the last couple of years. So it's still bad for most people.
Do you think there is any way we could have avoided this problem?
Well, one big thing is just high taxes, and we pay so much to the military. Military takes probably 60-70% of our tax money. So I think we could cut that by a lot. Just try to be a better country, a nicer country, not have so many enemies around the world. We wouldn't have to have all these weapons. The biggest jerk on the block has the most weapons. Why? Because he's a big jerk. I think we don't need to be that way. We could be a more peaceful nation and live in peace with our neighbors and everybody else in the world, and we wouldn't need the huge military budget that we have. Cut that out, we could feed, clothe, everybody, give everybody health care, make a lot of stuff cheaper for just the average person instead of making it easy for the rich guys.
How can we change this problem? Yeah, me as a filmmaker teacher at St. Leandra High. I have all the answers.
Yay. Awesome. Good questions. I loved them.
Testing. Testing the mic. Oh, is it even on? Hey, it is.